1-0 so far in summer versus Dplus. But Dplus running the lower bracket. They have the unbreakable spirit on their team. They have Canyon and ShowMaker trying to get back to their glory days. And now
we can hear as well the fan chants erupting throughout the KBS arena. Feels a little bit like home, you know, it feels like LoL Park.
It does. I was looking around when we first got up to the caster booth also, and I saw all of these Canyon, ShowMaker, jerseys over here, and I was like, oh, this must be the Dplus side of the arena. And then I looked at the rest of the arena, and they're just everywhere. Deft jerseys everywhere. So it seems like Dplus definitely have some crowd favor.
They certainly do. Just a reminder, guys, you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming. You can grab the exclusive experimentation emote, and then you can flaunt your stuff. Of course, Heimerdinger always reminds me of a certain previous Dplus support, then now DRX support.
That support has been on your mind all day, Atlas. Huh?
No, he's always on my mind. It's just permanently on my mind. It's how it goes. I have a feeling he's still going to somehow find a way to win Worlds. We'll see whether he can. Here on this bottom side, Deft and Kellin. Sometimes, as in Aphelios in some of these matchups, you can have a rough time early, but against Zeri, you're probably not going to. May not necessarily see too much action in the early game, but Ignite has been taken on the top side of the map by Canna, following the Huni rules. You love to see it. We'll see whether it's actually going to be successful up into the Ryze, because Kiin has been a great Ryze player for years, and he might just be able to bully this Rumble up towards the top side. Speaking of bullying, BDD in a little bit of trouble here in mid lane.
Yeah, ShowMaker doing a good job harassing here. Mentioned it before, but APA posted on Twitter one of the little tricks with Neeko, talking about,
cute little hook is going to connect onto Deft there. Kellin just standing in front of his AD carry to try and keep him alive, but a good trade for KT already.
If you are Neeko and you transform into the minion as your spells land, then you can count as a minion, and so you don't proc a lot of the runes or Doran's shield regen that proc only when champions hit you. So
That's very cute. I didn't know that. All right, we'll see whether ShowMaker is going to utilize that tech. Generally, ShowMaker is known for really good emote tech. He was about to get a solo kill, I seem to remember, it was a couple of years ago, but managed to get the Teemo emote up in the middle of a play, which I thought was pretty impressive.
I want to see how fully they embrace the Braum meta as well.
That's true.
The Braum emotes have been taking over.
Which one do you think's better? Is it, okay, BDD taking a bit of damage, but I think he's going to be all right. Is Take Notes better, or is the Braum emote better? Because I loved the Take Notes.
I mean, I did love the Take Notes. That one's really good for when you make a misplay and you can flash at your dead body. But the Braum just, it's so good. It really does resemble like the Keck W.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
It's gets everybody laughing. Here we go, though. We get our first move after Viego here. Cuzz has finally finished up his full clear into his Scuttle Crab, and so junglers, you can see on the mini-map, hovering towards mid, but that's going to be it. Everybody gets out.
Yep. Cuzz gives away his position. Canyon knows exactly what's going on. Rift Scuttlers will be traded, like you were talking about. Canyon shouting out Fnatic here, which is fantastic, you know, supporting them before they play later on today.
I mean, there was also interesting skin tech with that particular skin earlier on that Riot quickly fixed and changed.
Yep.
Where it would be a lot quicker with the flag animation. So happy to clean that one up in time. Calmly starting out my LCK experience, Atlas. I feel like this is very accurate, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
We're double LCK teams farming away, opposite sides of the desk.
It's an immersive experience. Basically, you need to learn how to not talk about what's happening on the screen as much as possible. But I think you're pretty gifted in that department, Kobe. I think you'll be absolutely fine.
We delve pretty deep into the caverns of the mind sometimes. Thankfully, we've been able to deal with the jet lag pretty easily this time around.
Yep. ShowMaker with his fake Infernum in the mid lane, just having a bit of a good time. And BDD trying his best. You can see losing out on the health trades, but you just have to look at the CS numbers to know that it's pretty much fine, and there's not really too much to go off. I think the junglers is where we're going to see most of our action surround.
Yeah, and BDD kind of expecting that for this matchup too, it seems like, because he went with the Conqueror instead of that Hail of Blades that a lot of mid laners were using for more lane prio. So we'll have the Conqueror 4 later for those big fights. Meanwhile, Mr. Canyon.
Aiming, gonna get knocked up here. Canyon getting a decent amount of damage. Of course, no one's there for any follow-up really, unless Kellin's flashing, but he's not going to. Aiming just going to be convinced to go home, and he might just say yes to that.
Meanwhile, Deft with the real Infernum gets the shove into Drake priority. So, our first true action of the game.
Oh, okay. ShowMaker walks to the side. That's the listing lazily to the left strategy. That is pretty good for avoiding skill shots. It is going to work out. This is called a free dragon. We do these quite a lot in the LCK, Kobe. It just means that we can stay calm. Everything's going to be 0-0, A-OK. Dplus will just get a few regen stats from the Ocean Drake.
Nice calming Ocean Dragon here for all of the laners. And the golf claps erupt.
Oh, is it going to be Cloud into Chemtech for the least interesting possible? I mean, I love Cloud Drakes, don't get me wrong. But
Chemtech, though, I would say Chemtech Rift is one of the most exciting rifts.
That's true. I'm more talking about the stats you get as a champion. Yeah. You're right. The Rift is better.
Yeah, the Rift.
Oh, but it is, you can use Blast Cones to get yourself to safety much more effectively. However, Neeko utilizes Mega Blast Cones better than most other champions because you can Pop Blossom from a million years away.
And ShowMaker is a bit of
that one.
ShowMaker is a bit of a troll sometimes too. So I want to see how fancy ShowMaker gets with his Neeko play.
I also think that ShowMaker has been DK's best player so far this tournament. I think he's had a standout time here at Worlds so far, and he was one of the players that was really struggling throughout the regular season to kind of get his mojo. We know that ShowMaker is a guy that does play around confidence quite a lot. He's well aware of it, but hasn't been able to utilize it. But it feels like this Worlds, some of that pizzazz is coming back.
And I'm really happy to see specifically that because it was one of the heartbreaking stories hearing and listening to all of these interviews that ShowMaker was giving.
Yeah.
You know, he was on the podcast with one of his top lane friends last year talking about how he feels like he doesn't take as many of the risky, I'm better than you, outplay maneuvers anymore. He feels like he has started to get more safe. And then he started talking about seeing League of Legends more as a job instead of really enjoying it. And then the super recent one this year, talking about how even going against some of the big name mid laners, he would start to feel nerves and types of things creeping into his play. So really happy to see him playing confidently, playing well with this team, because everybody dreams of those times. Canyon and ShowMaker, the dynamic duo. And 2019 to 2021, some nice glory years.
No, absolutely. And I think that the Shy also has illustrated this. Winning Worlds as early as they did, it does mean that you don't quite put into context what kind of achievement that is until it's in your past, right? As Aiming's looking for a turret plate, he will be able to get it here. As Dplus are going to collect themselves a Rift Herald, uncontested once again. You continue to tell stories for about as long as you like there, Kobe. And of course, KT very happy to do this because they have Ryze, Azir, Zeri.
I feel like we're going to turn into those wacky inflatable flailing tube people outside the gas station just shouting, "It's free!"
Oh, well, this might be free as well, as Kellin is going to get knocked up, crashes down to try and get out of the way, and is going to be able to flash to safety. Does have to put that one on cooldown. That was almost some action with a result, and I guess having a flash down is certainly that.
The flash down, the crash down, and the ignite down. Let's see.
1-for-1 summoner trade. There we go. Balanced as all things should be.
Especially because, even though it has a longer cooldown, he's got Hex Flash, so...
Yeah, no, and I say this all the time. I think early flashing with Hex Flash is how you get the most value out of that summoner, out of that Keystone choice. So
it's quite possibly the most fun rune to ever use, so definitely want to get the most out of it.
I think that, honestly, you should just flash at level 1. You know, get out of the fountain faster, that's what I think.
Some good old-fashioned all-chat bait.
Oh,
That's pretty rare nowadays. It's actually pretty hard because so many people are muted.
Right? Makes it a bit sad. However, Kellin now has that one on cooldown and is now looking for a little bit of an opportunity. And aiming down on the bottom side. Just going to try and defend against Deft and Kellin as they do push up. He's got a fair bit of gold considering those plates that did go down. But of course, with no kills, haven't been able to see any acceleration. Haven't seen any Zeri certification moments, as Wolf would say in the LCK. We haven't really got there yet. We'll see whether aiming does get that slight advantage to really make Zeri feel like the old version.
Yeah. Pretty nice and calm scaling so far. We've got a big 10 CS lead in the top lane for Kiin on his Ryze.
Huge. Okay, so he's out of control. Kiin's going to have to be looked at here. We'll see whether Canyon is going to...
Rod of Ages, Seraph build. So he's looking for the long con here, the double mana scaling build. And then we'll truly get to see why it's so iconic for him.
Yeah, maybe 3 items is when we're going to start fighting. Seraph's
I'll take that
Rod
deal.
of Ages fully stacked in the Void stuff, maybe.
Okay.
He might go Zhonya's in the middle, and we might be fighting on 4 items, Kobe.
Can we craft some theoretical battles in our minds
Yeah,
now
absolutely
while we're waiting?
Do you want to cast
Some
them?
epic.
Let's try and cast together a moment that we're thinking about that might happen in the future.
Yeah.
It could potentially happen now, as the Cloud Drake's being started here by Canyon. Deft and Kellin are first on the roam. ShowMaker moving up as well. It's going to be 2 rumbles. Wonder where these equalizers are coming from. That is a teleport to the top lane, though. So KT, you are not fighting this. You are giving up the second dragon, and you are moving away. Lehends not quite getting the memo, but I think he is going to be able to take that and teleport to the top lane. Kiin not going to get... Oh, he's going to get snared, actually. ShowMaker demonstrating some hitbox shenanigans with his Neeko.
So good rotation here, and they utilize the 1 teleport available to them to make sure it's just 1 turret plate and not 2. But Atlas, that dragon was not free. That was a turret plate. There is a price tag on it. It might be cheap. It might be discounted.
But it also means that Dplus are going to get this dragon to start stacking. And it's not going to be the Chemtech Soul that we were talking about. It is a Hextech Soul. So this will mean that Dplus, there could be more action because Hexgate's definitely going to be an avenue towards that, as Rift Herald is just going to charge through, and it's just Canyon getting the money, and KT are going to clear it up, so some turret plates do go over. DK still behind in gold in trade for the dragons. This might mean that we could get a little bit earlier action because Dplus need that, right? Because they're the team that is going to eventually get outscaled by KT. And so getting to the point where they have Soul available is going to be really strong.
Let me tell you, though, when it does happen, it's going to be explosive.
Oh, so good.
So good.
I mean, we've already seen what the team fights are going to look like in the future.
Let's start it out, Atlas. We're creeping through the brush. We drop our control ward. Kellin is there first. On the Rell, ready for the flash ultimate crashdown play. He starts it out. Canyon follows up with the EQ, Cataclysm, then Canna lays down the Rumble ultimate, ShowMaker on the flank, and they wipe KT.
Incredible. And in the meantime, Deft is taking the bot lane inhibitor turret by himself. Absolutely extraordinary stuff. He will then take the inhibitor as well because he doesn't like inhibitors, ladies and gentlemen. This time last year.
But then it's going to respawn just when they least expect it.
Just in time. And then all of KT, they're coming out of the fountain, streaming out of the fountain. They ace Dplus, and that's all she wrote. So that is what is there to look forward to. But we're not quite there yet. More turret plates on the menu here. 10 seconds until they fall down. Not actually going to get the last one. ShowMaker does deter aiming from taking that. Storm Razor in hand for the Zeri. And a Kraken Slayer for Deft.
And Storm Razor is pretty fun. Ever since the recent buffs, not so recent now, but ever since the buffs to Storm Razor, if the opponents do not have a super hard tank, like a top lane tank, I do really like this item as a rush item for AD carries. You can say, hey, Canyon's going to get pretty tanky on that Jarvan. There's so much health in the Juggernaut combo, basically, with the Gore Drinker, with the Shojin. Kellin, though, I think he might remain a little squishy.
Yeah, it's certainly been what it seems. Let's have a look at the lane economy snapshot. Still KT with some advantages. Thank you, MasterCard, for that one. But at the moment, I mean, we're not seeing anything that is anything to write home about, Kobe. Okay, this might be something. There's the Magnustorm first blood at 15 minutes. Cuzz is going to go down, and Deft picks up the kill.
And it's Kellin from the brush. Makes it happen on the Rell. No hesitation there. And honestly, for Dplus here, we're talking about they're getting so many objectives for free. This one they actually get paid to take.
Yeah.
So that's even working double time. In the meantime, of course, KT, they did have BDD in the bottom lane. Bottom lane outer tower taken for KT. Deft, though,
Yeah, teleport is going to come through, and now they're looking for a potential kill. The crash down should be available here as there is the Shattering Strike, pulls him back, and Lehends goes down too.
Well, well, well. This seems like a landslide starting to build here for Dplus.
We're waiting for the late game.
Okay.
KT, just don't worry about it.
Just a couple
don't
kills.
Worry about it. Yeah. There's no need to get E-word about anything.
Yep.
We're just scaling. But no, this is definitely a great play for Dplus, and the fact that they still have tempo with them taking the Rift Herald the whole time, man, you couldn't ask for more.
I love it from Kellin. I mean, Rell, the main combo you need is to be able to Q flash. He goes immediately for the Q flash. He got the full engage there, and then Deft uses his stopwatch, and they get the answer kill on Lehends as well. And that one was just an easy Q, no flash for Lehends. So one more for the Nautilus Deft funds.
And also Deft not being caught window shopping there either. Really quick on the trigger finger after the flash dredge line from Lehends. So really nicely played from Deft.
And it's a pretty early stopwatch for an AD carry to have. So definitely, if you're not constantly spamming the tab, updating to check, might be caught unawares.
Won't have it for this soul point fight though. Dplus certainly looking for that one as, oh, in they go, Cuzz going to get Cataclysm, has to Heartbreaker to get himself out of it, but now won't have his ultimate. Canyon in a similar boat though, they're still looking to utilize the advantage that they have with vision, move towards this dragon. KT not wanting to give this one up, teleport is going to come through now as Kiin looking to make himself known in this game. Canna can utilize the equalizer. They do manage to make it through the choke point. Canyon and Canna a little bit further forward as DK getting towards Deft, trying to make sure that he stays safe. Realm Warp is going to bring in just Kiin, and there is the Rune Prison onto Canyon. The equalizer comes down, Pop Blossom under two though, and DK will wipe them out. Only a couple of kills, and the Drake will reset, but I have a feeling Dplus can just go back and take it as Kiin. 50% health, but that was a shape splitter. And now Dplus on this Drake. This is starting to look very Dplus favored.
It certainly is. Deft is back, and look at ShowMaker on the flank.
Looking for the angle, aiming on control vision. BDD is going to be able to skate his way out of this. ShowMaker just making sure that he has full information, but this is going to be soul point for Dplus Kia. And KT kind of reeling now.
Yeah, as much as we talk about their scaling on this team with the Ryze, with the Azir, with the Zeri, they are quickly getting outpaced by Dplus. Well, look at Canyon as he got hooked in, comboed. He did a nice flag and drag over to the rest of his team though. So ShowMaker is able to come in and peel for him. Then he gets the Triumph peel. So he's just fine. They can restart Dragon and, as you know, keep to that very quick Dragon stacking pace towards their Dragon Soul. This game, only 18.5 minutes in here. KT, they're trying to scale, but Dplus are just outpacing them so quickly with all the dragons and the kills coming through.
And I want to go back to what we were talking about earlier with the 15-minute rule for both of these teams. The first blood happened at 14 minutes and 50 seconds. That was when Dplus managed to get an advantage, and maybe, you know, KT looked at the clock at that stage and they're like, where are the stats, guys? Let's just focus on game two. That is definitely not what happened. They tried their hardest around that Drake fight, but certainly Dplus just snowballing, and it is starting to get out of control. Of course, KT, they can find some of these miracle fights, and I want to remind you, there is a play that we've been replaying over and over again, and it's BDD on the Azir, finding 4 people. In that game, they were behind about 5,000 gold or something like that. It was a big lead for Dplus, and it wasn't enough to close it out against this man's Azir. So it is not over till it's over, but it is difficult, even though they still have an advantage, slight gold advantage for KT. Of course, the Dragons will skew that towards Dplus. But an interesting scenario when we feel like Dplus has such a good position in this game and are 4-0 up in kills, but with that extra turret and first turret blood and some plates, KT still doing well for money.
Yeah, so much of it in these dragons that Dplus are stacking here. Only 3 minutes on that clock, Atlas, and we're going to get a large team fight. KT will finally bring down the hammer.
And aiming has not died yet. So if in this next team fight, aiming walks away with a couple of kills, then this game could be a very, very different story. But a Zeri that doesn't really get going at any point in a game does feel somewhat beatable. So going to skate his way out. Canyon, of course, is pretty scary. And Dplus setting traps, finding opportunities where they can.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing Dplus need to look for is try and get the rest of the outer towers, because their comp winning towards the mid stages of the game is going to rely a lot on the engage from ShowMaker, from Kellin. So if you can take down more of these areas of defense for KT, get all the outer towers down, then you have a lot more room to work with, trying to push into the jungle, get your wards, get a lot of flank angles for your engagers, and actually put some more pressure onto these scaling KT carries.
Speaking of scaling for KT, Kiin has picked up his Rod of Ages 9 stacks, very, very close to maxing that one out to get that extra level. Seraph's Embrace also done, so the 2-item spikes are really starting to turn up here for KT. Quick Blades as well, Storm Razor, and then you've got Nash's and Luden's done for BDD as well. So if there is a time to fight, might be an opportunity. However, nothing to really fight over unless they want to start an early Baron. So Dplus able to put some money together, maybe get a Zhonya's for ShowMaker perhaps, a Void Staff for Canna. His second item, Void Staff, is pretty early here, but running double AP does incentivize a lot of Merc Treads. You can see there's 4 of them on KT, so getting through a bit of that magic resist does make some sense.
Yep, definitely love it there. So much magic resist early on the KT squad. KT happy though, as you're saying, everybody on their 2-item power spikes, except for jungles. They'll be pretty happy about fighting the next dragon. All going to come down to that one.
Yep. Just have to see whether Dplus can get all of their 2 items together. Bit of a back coming through for Kiin. We'll see where he's going to go next. I'd like to see like Blighted Jewel or something like that, but instead it is going to be the Zhonya's, which are kind of suspected, or at least a stopwatch for now. Make sure that this next team fight is going to work out. The stopwatch count, something that Brendan Valdez really does well. Yeah. So far there are a couple picked up for KT and 1 on the Neeko for Dplus.
And those are what you want to buy when you know so much of the game comes down to the next big dragon fight, because the value of it, of a one-time use for one single fight, is so astronomically high.
This is when you want to win a team fight, right before this Drake is coming up. Canna, you can see in the brush. Heated up on the Rumble right now as the Extendo Beam, not going to find too much. Pop Blossom, the flash picks up 2! BDD gets the Empress Divide off, but he's still going to die! And Kiin, he'll break that stopwatch, but his life is still over for now! 2 swift kills on the solo lanes, and Dplus, they can move towards Soul!
And it's a beautiful disengage after they get their 2 kills here for Dplus. They know the rest of KT, and they're just hoping to fish around for something in the stragglers, but Dplus give them nothing. KT just watching as Dplus take everything.
This Hextech Soul as well, Cuzz, he's stolen these in the past. This is his bread and butter, but this is a dangerous moment for the KT jungler, and Dplus, you can see, they know that he is going to try for it. They burst it down, managed to take it out. ShowMaker playing bouncer here to get rid of the Viego.
Man, ShowMaker just barely on the edge of the Neeko ultimate finds the engage. BDD is gonna want that one back. He's gonna want a flash, but the damage has already been done. Dragon Soul obtained for Dplus. KT are in emergency mode now, so they're gonna emergency Baron.
Yeah, if in case of emergency break Baron, is that how it works, Kobe? I don't know about that one, as they are going to get it down to about 50% health. Dplus, they know exactly what's going on though, and they're going to set up in this river. KT going to turn because Cuzz is so low. The Baron even taking an extra shot. The Viego's going to have to back away. Dplus, full tempo all the time. This is exactly how they love to play League of Legends. It just doesn't often happen against teams like KT, teams that are generally ahead of them.
Huge, huge stuff. If you're going to win some games versus a team, it's okay if you went 0-5 before Worlds. When you want to win them is on the World stage, so Dplus choosing the right moment and really adding to the narrative of the lower bracket run of the underdogs here.
And it's still so sad, right, for KT, because their run has been so difficult, but you still have to be able to string these wins together when they come up. And KT are a squad that have benefited from tough opposition, but are also one that can feel that pressure start to mount up. And Dplus, it has been an easier road for them over the last couple of games.
This looks like 0 bumps in this road, freshly paved this game so far. It has been really good play. You know, props to Kellin for his earlier engages, props to ShowMaker in the previous team fight. But it really seems like KT have got to wake up in this series, because currently they're just scaling into next game.
They are. And the thing that's a bit of a worry here is that blue side has, in general, been a little bit stronger. KT higher C, they got side selection as that is going to be a hook connecting, but it's onto the Rell, equalize onto 3, and Canna will help burn down the Nautilus. You didn't think he'd be that flammable as someone dressed in underwater gear, but he is still going to go down. And that should dispel Baron. Kiin can move in from this top side, has hit level 16. Pretty strong on this Ryze right now. Cuzz wanting to try and find his way in, but look at this. All of Dplus trying to get them out of the way, but Kiin just gets that Rune Prison down. Immediately they dive in though. Cuzz is already going to go down. That is a 3-net ulti from BDD! Where have we seen this before? As KT will wipe out Dplus. Deft goes down. It's an ace in trade for just Cuzz.
They do it at the Baron Atlas in case of emergency. Break it open. The late game carries are going to be able to collect it. KT, they gave up 4 dragons, 2 Rift Heralds, a bunch of kills, but they will not give up this one.
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe it's happened again, Kobe.
Look at them just pop ShowMaker, and initially you're like, okay, well, they traded Cuzz for it, but BDD sweeps in, cleans the entire rest of the team, and because they have 2 other huge carries on the team as well, Kiin and Aiming, they're able to just melt Dplus there. Deft tried to do some heroics at the end, but 1 versus 3 carry battle, never gonna win those. Nope. So KT are fully operational.
They absolutely are, and they're 4,000 gold in the lead, and the Red Bull Baron power play is sitting at 2.2k. They were already ahead even before they managed to take that one down. Of course, the team fight helping out, but with the fact that Dplus have only been able to really scale when it comes to the dragons, the gold being so even means that KT have a pretty straight shot if they can continue knocking down these structures utilizing this Baron. So Dplus, they're going to have to regroup now, of course. Hextech Soul, pretty strong. We're also going to have an Elder Drake on the Rift pre-30 minutes. Cuzz is pretty good at smiting those. And with this extra wind in the KT sails, could certainly be another point of contention. Let's see whether Dplus can mount a comeback though, because this is their biggest test. As soon as there's a bump in the road, that's when Dplus Kia fans get worried.
There's a boulder in the middle of the road, and it is BDD Azir.
Yes.
This man knows the champion like the back of his hands. The team now with so much extra pressure, it's super easy to go 1-3-1 at the moment because Kiin is on his Ryze top 3 item power spike that you were looking for. He pushes out top side, Aiming gets bottom side. They get the entire map closing in around Dplus.
And Dplus, they still have the Hextech Soul. They still have a lot of team fighting capabilities. But as we were talking about, I love that you see Kiin walk down into that river looking completely unafraid because they know that Dplus has to focus on so many things at once. The coordination from KT in that last fight, absolutely fantastic. And now, who matches the Ryze in a side lane?
Yeah, nobody. That's difficult. You got to catch those waves at the tower or else Kiin is just going to rip you apart. Looks like he's going for Banshees next as well, so it's going to be even harder to engage and pick. Harder to pick him off in the side lanes, also harder to engage on him for the team fights. And the big thing that won KT that last team fight was annihilating ShowMaker. They went right for this Neeko. Dplus never got to have him on the offensive look, never got to be the one setting up the team fight on their terms. Once ShowMaker is just neutralized there, they got to run over the fight freely.
Well, Elder Drake has just spawned. Shapesplitter gives information here to Dplus, who have grouped up. They're going to move on over. KT thinking about just grabbing themselves an inner. They have control of the mid wave. Very, very important. ShowMaker hex skating over to get himself a good angle. Cuzz over that wall, and the Drake has already been started. Dplus, if at first you don't succeed, go for the next neutral objective and see whether you can win that one. ShowMaker going to have to keep himself as safe as possible. Deft, the same thing. These equalizers from Canna need to be perfect. 50% on the Dragon. KT biding their time, waiting for their opportunity. Kiin in the pit. He's taken a fair bit of damage already, as that is not the real ShowMaker. He's off the side of this wall. Realm Warp to get Kiin out of there. That could mean a bit of an advantage here for DK. This Drake is down very, very low. Cuzz, these smites are terrifying. There's the equalizer to act as a wall. Cuzz steals it, but it's a 4-man Pop Blossom. Can they win the fight though when they're against the Elder? That's the question. Ooh, into the fire, not exactly where you want to be. Can Deft actually do this? Possible 1 versus 3 angle with the teleport to come forward. Deft wants to get rid of them. These Elder Drake buffs are so scary. He's not going to be able to get it done. BDD's in the mid lane just trying to end this game.
Yeah, and aiming on the Zeri here on the flank with the Elder.
Well, Deft just going for one last shot in this game to see whether he can get something done, but I have a feeling the Dragon will say something about it. Down to the GA. And KT have him surrounded. There he goes. Aiming goes to 4-0-5, and Lehends and BDD will say goodnight to game 1. It was looking awful. It was not looking great for KT. And then everything went their way. Just takes one little sweep.
I have never seen a team so calmly give away the entire map for the first 25 minutes of the game, including the Dragon Soul. But KT, they win the Baron fight, they win the Elder Dragon fight, and they're coming to win the game.
Yep, and it's just them relying on the fact that Cuzz is so good at getting these smites. I imagine they never thought that there was any chance the Canyon was going to take that, because Cuzz just gets those. He's really good at it. They flip them all the time. It bothers everyone at the LCK, but it seems to work out.
Wow.
And now it's a 10,000 gold lead, Kobe.
Wow, wow, wow. I guess today I learned not to doubt KT scaling.
I guess not. I mean, the thing is, we saw so much scaling lose yesterday.
I know.
I'm just doubting it at all corners.
Cuzz just walks straight up, though, with the WQ, steals it, and then with the Elder Dragon execute. Such a huge, huge power spike for them. Such a difference maker in these team fights. They're annihilated. BDD, again, onto the front line, pushes them back, has his own Zonias. You know already nobody gets out. They get 2 inhibitors for it. So the lasting pressure here from 2 inhibitors being down, KT have the luxury of getting another Baron for themselves and then just returning to top lane to finish the job.
Yep, Super Minion's going to be helping them out as that 6th man in mid and bottom lane. I guess 7th, because there's a couple of those lanes. So the Baron goes over for free. 12,000 gold the lead. Surmountability getting very low here for Dplus Kia. And the Rebel Baron power play is only going to stack up. The first inner turret is going to go down as far as this push is concerned. There's none more of them left available. 9 turrets to 1. And we mentioned giving up the map, but they never gave up turrets. They were also able to cross-map to get extra plates onto aiming as well. KT just biding their time, and it worked.
Even being down in kills and down in dragons, they were still up in gold a lot of the time because of those turrets, because of the turret plates, because of the farm. They were just looking at their wallets the whole time.
Sometimes he's going to make the investments, you know. They knew exactly when to sell, and it was...
diversified their portfolios. They were calm. No, I feel like panic selling here.
I feel like most of their portfolio was Emperor's Divide. They had certainly a lot in that one.
That's a good stock.
Yeah, it is certainly good. That one just tends to go up and to the right. Okay, last Nexus turret left standing here for Dplus. They're going to go for one last team fight. The Pop Blossom's decent into the backline. They do manage to get rid of the Azir. Aiming still alive though, and Kiin is just gigantic. That was actually the real ShowMaker, and he is going to fall down, but now it's Aiming who's in trouble. He's down to the GA Canyon, trying to keep Deft alive. He is going to be the win condition in this one, but there are 4 KT members. Their health bars are low, but their damage is so high. Red-white guns, I don't think are going to save DK here as Kiin just realm warps on top of Deft. Aiming locks down the kill. That will be